I want to go ahead and bring in now CBS News correspondent Nikole Killion. She's at the Biden headquarters there in Wilmington, Delaware. Nikole, great to see you. Tell us, what is the mood like right now on the Biden campaign? What are you hearing from your sources there?
Well, I think, as you can imagine, there's just a big sense of elation. Joy is one way one aide described it to us, and really just a sense of relief that this campaign is now over and that they can transition into this next phase. And so actually a number of the campaign aides and officials are staying here very close to the premises. And so some of them have responded to reporters, but probably the biggest takeaway, again, is just this sense of amazement right now for the moment, for the history of it, for all the work that people in this campaign have poured into it. And look, we've also heard from Senator Kamala Harris, now Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. There was a video that she posted online telling Joe Biden he is now the President of the United States. We just saw a short time ago now President-elect Biden and his wife, Dr. Jill Biden, who will become First Lady. They just posted a picture as well from their home. So really the mood is quite celebratory, one of excitement and certainly anticipation for this evening, where we do expect President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris to address the nation here at the Chase Center.
There on the other side of the screen, Nikole, we're looking at live pictures from Biden headquarters in Wilmington. As you say, he and Vice President-elect Harris are scheduled to speak there. It's going to take place at 8 p.m. Eastern. Nikole, I'm wondering if you have any more insight into what the president-elect intends to say.
Well, look, I think you can expect him to continue to echo some of the themes that he has been speaking about over these last couple of days and really throughout the campaign, in terms of trying to put the partisanship aside, trying to unite the country and heal the country. We have often heard the former vice president and now president-elect say that he is not just going to be a president for Democrats, that he wants to be a president for all Americans. So I think those are some of the themes you may hear him talk about trying to restore the soul of the nation, which was really part of his campaign mantra. We do expect, obviously, as you can see, the stage has been set up like this for like the last 4 days. They didn't want to take it down just in case, and now, of course, we know why. But I don't know if you can see it. There's some Jeeps, red, white, and blue Jeeps close to the stage. So we do know those are for the VIP guests. We do expect this will be kind of a drive-in election night, kind of as it was to be back on Tuesday. And as we've seen the former vice president do with many of his campaign events, where they bring people into these large venues in their cars, try to keep people socially distant. So we do expect a lot of those supporters to come back. I talked to some yesterday who thought they were coming back last night, who said they expect to get some type of text message telling them to come, but they did intend to return. And I'm almost positive they will be doing so this evening.
Nikole, I'm so glad you pointed out that they were red, white, and blue vehicles, because I've been looking at this shot all day and interested in knowing a little bit more of the color back there. I'm actually on that same line. I'm wondering if you know in the rest of that big parking lot behind you, who's going to be able to fill up those spots with their cars? Are particular people being invited?
Well, it's similar to what we saw during the Democratic National Convention, where in most cases these were a lot of local supporters, a lot of Democrats here in Delaware. The other night, some of the supporters I talked to were affiliated with campaigns of various local Democratic officials. So again, I would expect the makeup to be quite similar. And then, of course, I think you would also expect that many of the campaign staffers, people who've worked on the campaign for some time now in some capacity, will also be here as well. We'll have to do another check and see how many people they are expecting. But as of the other night, they were expecting about 200 to 300 vehicles. That's probably about all that this lot could hold. But keep in mind, beyond the security perimeter here, there are already supporters who have lined up at a parking lot, again, outside of this perimeter. They've attached balloons to the gates. They've got Biden-Harris signs. I talked to a couple of those people, many of them not from this area. I talked to one woman who came all the way from Virginia, another who brought her family from New York. So people really are coming from all over to try to witness this piece of history.
That tracks with what we've been seeing and showing our viewers from around the country, people gathering in celebration. I think there's also just a lot of people who are relieved to have election results now and no longer be clinging to their devices, and all of us trying to inform them about the latest votes that are coming in from Allegheny County and what percentage of those were mail-in ballots and all of that. So, Nikole, you have covered the Trump administration, the White House. You have covered the Biden campaign. Looking at the transition right now, what more are you learning about what lies ahead for the Biden-Harris administration? It's interesting to actually say that word now.
Right. Well, we do know that they have already set up a transition website. In fact, it went live earlier this week, and we do expect that they will start moving forward with that process. And so, we could start seeing announcements certainly later this month. The expectation is that, they will roll out major staff announcements as they get them. Probably nothing extremely imminent, but again, I would say probably by later this month, early December, we'll really see this movement kind of intensify and heighten around the transition. As far as the president and his administration is concerned, we do know that they have been complying with the deadlines that are needed to mark a transition of power. So they are doing the things that they need to do, contrary to some of the things that the president has said in the past about maybe not necessarily adhering to that. And of course, we do know that the president may not necessarily concede, even if we do hear from President-elect Biden tonight. But the Biden campaign has made clear that, the president, Donald Trump, that is, does not decide an election, that it's the American people who do that. And so they do intend to move forward.
That's very interesting information, Nikole, that we have heard this rhetoric from the president that he doesn't intend to concede, that he intends to fight it, but to know that inside the White House, they are doing all the things that are responsible for that peaceful transition of power, which we now expect is going to take place as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris become the next administration there in Washington. Actually, you can see Black Lives Matter Plaza and Philadelphia, one of the cities that really were instrumental in handing Biden that electoral win. Before I let you go, Nikole, in addition to every presidential election being a moment of history, there is especially some historic relevance with Kamala Harris becoming the first female vice president, the first person of color, a Black American, an Asian American, to hold that office. I want to give you an opportunity, some space to talk about what you're hearing on that front and any other reflections you have.
Well, I can tell you, talking to at least two people who are close to the senator and people who have been advocating for this moment, they said that they, simply broke down in tears. I actually had one person call me up on the phone crying, a pretty prominent Democratic strategist who really has been advocating for a woman of color to be on the ticket. And when that moment came, that was a moment of pride, but this certainly kind of takes it to a new level. And I think, look, when you look at the history of the moment, part of it is just, I think, especially among those in the African-American community, a sense of she's one of us. We've already seen her sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha, a tweet out calling her Madam Vice President, and her alma mater, Howard University. Anybody who's gone to Howard knows their slogan is HU, you know, and so they like tweeted that out in all caps. I mean, it's just a moment of pride for people who've gone to historically Black colleges and universities, or who are in a Black Greek organization, but also too for the South Asian community. This is such a huge moment as well, and even around the other side of the globe, you know, in India. And also, let's not forget Senator Harris, you know, is part Jamaican, so even for her Jamaican ancestry too, you know, when we saw this outpouring of support for her when she was named to the ticket, and so now we're kind of seeing some of that echoed again in this moment. But I think it's also important to point out that it's historic on a number of levels too, not just with her moving into the vice president-elect position, but also with now President-elect Biden, that he will be the oldest president that we've ever had, the second Catholic president we've ever had, the first president from Delaware. His wife, Dr. Jill Biden, has said she will continue to resume teaching, which I don't know that we've seen a first lady before actually hold a day job, you know, outside of the White House. And then as far as Senator Harris and her spouse, Doug Emhoff, he will now become the second gentleman and the first Jewish second spouse, if you will. So there's a lot of history with that ticket, and that's also being recognized on this day.
Absolutely. Second gentleman. I think that that's an interesting term. But as you mentioned, Biden,
I think they're still working on the title. I know they've been right. First gentleman.
Well, I know that when they decide on something, Nikole, you are going to be the person who tells us the official word. So, Nikole Killion, thank you.